Very good afternoon, everyone. Confirm the audio and the video once. Am I audible? Confirm the audio and the video. All right. So it's just 26 days left to CAT. Darshana, good afternoon. How are preparations? Today I'll discuss about the mock strategy which is going to be followed in the next 26 days. Before that, tell me how are your preparations going on and what all things are you doing? Like, I've been meeting you for some time now and discussing things. So it's the last lap of CAT preparation. What is left? Just the mocks. Okay, so in addition to all the revision that you have done, the classes that you have taken, the doubts that you have solved, the practice that you have done, so I'm assuming that you're doing all of it, and now you're also solving mocks, which mocks can be of two forms, full-length tests and sectional tests. The problem here is some people might be getting low scores, and can we do anything to improve those scores in the last few days? So that is what we'll be discussing today. All right. So the first thing which you need to understand, see, in mocks, what exactly happens? You might be in any organization, any coaching institute, and there, let's say, at max 10,000 people are attending the mocks. All right. So overall, this year, close to 3.8 lakh students have filled the form. We're not yet sure, numbers are not official, but it's close to 3.8 or 3.85 lakhs, which is a growth of 50,000 from the previous year. Out of this, only 1 lakh people have actually studied from any coaching institute, 1 lakh. Out of those 1 lakh, only 50,000 have actually completed the entire syllabus. Out of those 50,000, only 10,000 students have actually attempted the mocks. That too, not all of them. So whatever score you are getting in your institute's mocks, that score is going to improve in terms of percentile, if not the score. The percentile will improve in the real CAT. The reason is very simple, as you know, because I told you the entire seriousness of the candidates in an institute is far higher than those who are not in any institute. All right, so I hope you understand this, Darshana, right? Ayush, Shreyas. So that is what I have written over here. Hardly 20% of the students preparing for CAT take mock exams. So do not get worried because you're already among the top 20%. All right. Having said that, you are competing against like 60,000 people are competing. Actually, only 60,000, out of which 10,000 have done the mocks. So I'm assuming those who are in the session right now have attempted all the mocks. So what exactly happens in the mocks if you let's say you do something and you get, for example, 50 marks overall, right? So if you look at the analysis, the most important part is, so attempting the mocks is not the only thing which is important. It's also important to analyze the mocks. And to analyze, there are different ways to analyze. Like different institutes have different kind of ways to analyze. The most primary and most important and relevant way is to look at the solutions, be it text solutions or the video solutions. Majorly in LRDI, textual solutions are something which are not easily comprehensible. So in that case, you have to go through the video solutions. And also, you must have realized that you have done all the things, right? Still, you're not able to do the same thing in the mocks. The same kind of questions, the same kind of concepts, even if you have practiced 500 questions on one particular topic, but still you're not able to do it in the mocks. After that, when you analyze, you tend to realize that, okay, you knew the concept, but you're not able to apply it. Maybe you ran out of time due to anxiety. Some people do really good if the timed environment is not there, if the clock is not there. Like you have, I have seen people who solve a question in 3 minutes or 2 minutes normally because they don't have time pressure. The moment they have that clock running, that 2 minutes can go to 5 minutes, isn't it? That is something which is very common, it happens. So let's look at what are the steps after attempting each mock. So 3 things can be possible. One is that you answered the question correctly. The second is you made a silly mistake. Third is you don't know the concept, isn't it? So being happy in answering the question correctly is not the best thing to do. Like, you must be happy, oh wow, I did the question correctly, right? But this happiness comes at a cost, and that cost can be time. So let's say something which you should have done in 2 minutes, you took 5 minutes and did correctly. So that comes at cost of time. So there is some kind of, once you realize that, your expression will turn like this. You get confused. So here, what has to be done, even if you do it correctly, what has to be done, I'll discuss that. The second is when you made a silly mistake. And now silly mistakes are something which, kind of you repent over it. क्यों हो गया मुझसे ये, है ना, कि मैं सब जानता था, जानती थी, इतनी बड़ी प्रॉब्लम आ गई, है ना, सिली मिस्टेक कर दिया मैंने प्लस का माइनस लिख दिया, मैंने क्वेश्चन में ये पढ़ा ही नहीं कि पॉजिटिव इंटीजर्स की बात हो रही थी, है ना, मैंने नेगेटिव भी ले लिए. ऑल दैट स्टफ हैपन्स. दोज आर सिली मिस्टेक्स. So knowing something and doing it correctly are 2 different things. Third is you don't know the concept. You don't really know the concept. You don't really know the concept. What needs to be done? Should we revisit those concepts or not? That is what I'm going to discuss one by one. So first thing first, you answered the question correctly. So even if you did it correctly, you should go through the questions once and see if there is a better way, better way in terms of efficiency, in terms of time taken. Especially that happens in Quant and LRDI, not in VARC. In VARC, majorly when you answer correctly, sometimes you might take more time to comprehend and to grasp things, to get a hold of things. In Quant LRDI, it mostly happens that you follow a lengthier approach, isn't it? So I'll give you an example. Like in algebra questions, you must have seen, algebra questions are not normally theta questions. Theta is type in the answers. In algebra, let's say there are 7 questions. So in my experience, I have seen that 6 questions would be having some kind of options. It won't be theta. You know what? You might follow all the mathematical approach in some questions of algebra, which could have been done in a faster and quicker way by just going through the options, putting in the options one by one. That is called the method of induction, which is very important. So this is something, if you're noting it down, just note it down that in algebra, if there are options, you are the lucky person. You can just check the options, and it majorly happens in the questions in which inequalities and modulus are there. So what is the range of x for this given expression? And the range will be given to you in terms of options. You just put one value over there. Putting one value might eliminate 2 options. Putting one more value might eliminate one more option, and you get the correct answer. This will take you not more than a minute at max. In some cases, you can also take this 20 seconds, 30 seconds and solve the question. That is something which should be done. Note it down. This is very, very, very important. All right. And tell me that you are going to do it. Probably some people are doing it already. The students who have been trained by me, they are doing it, isn't it? Tell me in the comments if you are doing it, and also tell me if you will do it in future. All right. To make it understand you better, I'm also planning, kind of a workshop on YouTube itself, in which I'll be doing the same thing which I'm talking about right now. All right. So that is how we can do the questions real quick. That is for algebra. Let us talk about arithmetic and other sections of quants specifically. So in arithmetic, there is a possibility that the question is from time, speed and distance, or let's say mixtures and allegations, and you're putting in the values, assuming the things to be x, then y, then ratios. So a lot of times it happens that you tend to take more than one variable, 2 variables or 3 variables to make things quickly. Also, CAT doesn't give you marks on steps. It's not a board exam, isn't it? They just care about the answers that you are marking, not about the steps that you're following, isn't it? So in that case, let's say there are 2 different things, 2 different aspects of questions in which you take 2 different variables. There's a high possibility that you will solve it just by taking one variable. And if you have gone through those questions in which there are more than one equal to signs, so you take x times something. I'll give you an example. Let's say a question is like this, in which you take this x by 3 is equal to, let's say, y by 4, and it is z by 5. So instead of taking x, y, z, the best way, this is a rule. More than 1 equal to sign, just put it equal to some kind of constant, k. So now everything, all these variables will be in form of just one variable. X will be 3k, y will be 4k, and z will be 5k. So now you see, instead of taking three variables, I took only one, that is k. So this is something which will be very much helpful. So all you have to do is reduce the number of variables as low as possible, and that is the best way to do things quickly and get less confused. All right? Yeah. Farhan asks, how important is geometry? Farhan, in the last 7 years that I've analyzed, 7 years, why I'm saying 7 years? Because those are the most relevant ones for now, for CAT. If you look at the papers of 2009, 7, 8, 4 or 3, 2003, 2004, you will realize that you will get 100 percentile because they were really easy, you know. The kind of questions, level of difficulty 1 or 2, which you do in the classes, those questions are more difficult than what they were asking 15 years back. So these last 7 years are very much important and relevant. And also, CAT is officially releasing the papers after this, last 7 years. So what happens? We, what I've analyzed, the questions from geometry is, they hardly ask 3 to 4 questions. Majorly, it is 3 questions from last 7 years. And in those 3 questions, I also analyzed one particular aspect. Geometry is all about lines, angles, triangles, closed figures, polygons, etc. Then there is a thing called mensuration, which people feel is a part of geometry, but it is not. Mensuration is all about areas and volumes. You know, when you measure something, the length, which can be perimeter, circumference, the height, you know, all that stuff. When you measure things, areas and volumes, that is mensuration. And mensuration is always very, very, very easy. I'll tell you why, because mensuration is dependent on just the formulae. There are close to 25, 30 formulae. If you just go through those formulae, you will be able to solve a question of mensuration accurately. So in 3 questions, there will be one from mensuration or from coordinate geometry. Coordinate geometry is composed of this 25 formulae. Just go through all of it and be able to solve it. So what I'm trying to say here, out of 3 questions which will be asked in geometry, let's say they'll ask 4, at least one question will be from coordinate geometry or from the mensuration. Now geometry in itself is a huge topic. I would say, you know, I think the syllabus of geometry is maximum. You must have realized it by now, isn't it? And the reason is simple, because geometry, when it was made, that was in some 2800 BC by Euclid. So Euclid wrote 13 different books, 13 volumes. The book was called as Elements. It had 13 volumes. So if I keep on putting the papers one by one, like I'm standing right now, and I keep on putting like this, it will go up to 12 to 15 feet. Those many papers are there. So if we contract all of it, then what we study in geometry in class 10, standard 12th, that is something with just a kind of a summary or a contracted version of what Euclid wrote. So in a way, it's huge, be it NCERT in India or be it any kind of academic body elsewhere in the world. They all teach you the geometry which was written by Euclid, and it's huge. So doing all of that and getting 2 questions would not make much of sense. If you've done that, it's really good, but because you asked if it is important, that's what I told you right now. Okay. Farhan has one more question. Been scoring 60 plus in LRDI, QA combined but negative in VARC. Yeah, I'll tell about that as well. Apeksha studied, but when it comes to mocks and sectional, especially in Q and LRDI, I'm not scoring anything. Yes, that is, yeah, okay, I'll tell you what to do. So this is the one thing in which you do the questions correctly. Also, because 26 days are left, I won't say do this, do that. I'll just give you something which is very practical. In addition to whatever classes, I don't think classes are happening anymore. There will be majorly workshops, there will be majorly some kind of marathons which will be happening. Attend that and try to solve all those questions in marathon and the workshops. But do not forget one thing, that you have to solve the previous year questions. Be it LRDI, be it VARC or be it Quants. Just solve at least 3 years, previous 3 years. And in all these 3 years, there are 3 slots each. So 3 into 3, 9 different papers are there, 9 sets of papers are there. Go through it, solve it completely, do it completely. And out of those 9, do 4 without timed environment and do 5 with some kind of timer. Now for timer, what we have done, like at iQuanta website, if you go, there's a free uh, resources, the column is there, the tab is there, click on that and you will be able to attempt the PYQs as a full length mock. So try doing that and it'll be really helpful. Coming to other queries, Atharva, scoring 50 plus in LRDI, VARC single digit in QA. Yes, round strategy, that was not helping you. All right, let me take that. Purvai, can I skip geometry completely, focus on topics? Purvai, other topics like mensuration, coordinate geometry, if you do in geometry also, you'll be doing one question, and do not skip arithmetic and algebra at all, because they, in these two topics, like arithmetic and geometry, arithmetic and algebra only, you'll be getting close to 16 questions, which is more than sufficient. Pragya, while solving mocks, especially in quants, I face time pressure. I aim for 8 to 10 questions, but I end up doing 4 to 5. Later analyzing, I'll find 2 more. Exactly, Pragya. Pragya, this is the first time I think you are coming to this session. So there's a round strategy which I follow. A lot of people. If I told you, it won't be kind of helpful for everyone. So I'll talk about round strategy, how to do that, and if it's not helping those who are doing it, then what has to be done. So round strategy goes like this. Basically, what you have to do. So the first round, round 1, you do all the algebra questions. All right. People feel that algebra हमें आती ही नहीं है, कैसे करेंगे? So I told you one way, like you must have joined late in the session. I told you that in algebra, the possibility of having a theta question is very low. Theta, that is, type in the answers. You'll get the options. Through the options, you can check and put the values there and you'll be able to solve it. Don't worry, and after Diwali, I'm planning a session in which I will show you how to follow the round strategy. That will be very much helpful, Pragya and Atharva. Okay, algebra questions. So if it is algebra, you'll do it, otherwise not. And you'll realize within 20 seconds whether it is doable or not. That is round 1. From question number 1 to question number 22. Let's say you attempt 7 questions like that, okay, out of which you get 5 correct, or let's say 4 correct, 4 to 5 correct. Then you come back, round 2. So round 2 starts from question, it's reverse, question 22 to question 1. Here we'll do all the arithmetic questions which have less number of words, okay, which have less words, and that is possible in percentages and applications, percentages, ICI, profit loss discount, which have less number of words. That is round 2. Then you come back round 3, in which you'll be doing arithmetic questions which have a lot of words and other geometry or whatever you feel like doing. The questions which are lengthy in arithmetic in terms of number of words are majorly from time, speed and distance and time and work. That should be round number 3. So having said that, it's easier said than done. That is why I told you that I'll be doing it live in front of you guys, the same round strategy, and you will see that you are able to solve 15 questions correctly with me. You'll be able to do that. So just wait for that session. I think you're interested in that, right? Farhan, you're welcome for that. We'll be conducting a series of marathons and live sessions and live mock solving as well. Well, so now the second possibility is you made a silly mistake. How can you make a silly mistake? There are various ways to make a silly mistake, and that is, I didn't read the question correctly. I misread the question. I made a silly mistake. I guessed the answer. I understood the concept but failed to apply it correctly. I fell for the trap answer. These are the 5 ways in which you can do some silly mistake, commit some silly mistakes. Silly mistakes are those mistakes which you commit in the questions which you know about. You know the topic, you know the concepts, you know the exact things that you should be doing, but still you are not able to do something correctly. That can be possible by misreading the question, or maybe skipping some values, or might be when you're calculating, like if you LHS RHS is there, if you shift something from right hand side to left hand side, and here it is plus, and left it should be minus, you probably miss that out and you add in LHS also. That is something which must have happened a lot of times, and when you realize it, if you realize it, you'll end up wasting 2 minutes more, and if you do not realize it, you will be wasting time and also energy and marks as well. Average time for round 1, Below fit, exactly. That's a good question. Average time for round, average time you're asking, right? That should be not be more than 10 minutes. That is round 1. And round 2 should be 15 to 18 minutes, which again, you in your in your kitty you'll be having 12 to 15 minutes still left for round 3. In round 3 you'll be doing the lengthy questions of arithmetic. I'm talking about quant only. Okay, and some mensuration or coordinate geometry. If you have a question, just do that because that will be easy always. And if there is something numbers or miscellaneous, you can just do all of it. By the way, if you do these 2 rounds correctly, you will have enough confidence to maximize your score. In round 1, round 2 specifically, if you do it correctly, if you do it properly, you'll be able to solve 10 questions here itself. And 10 questions, if you solve, you would have already crossed 90th percentile in quants. The remaining 5, 6, 7, 8 percentile which you want to get can be done in round 3. So I'll show you how to do that. Don't worry. Okay? Well, so silly mistakes can... Now, there is no proper way to avoid silly mistakes than just practice. So solve them again and determine whether it was just the calculation or something else. So you practice more and more and more and have... Also, there's one thing. People also commit silly mistakes because they have pressure of time. Okay, so they were feeling, oh, मेरे को 10 सवाल तो करने ही करने हैं, जल्दी से ये कर लेते तो आता है मेरे को. So you'll be so happy to look at a question which you know that your happiness, you get overwhelmed by your happiness itself, and your happiness becomes your biggest enemy in that case, isn't it? कि ये तो मेरे को आता है, मैं तो यहाँ पक्का मार्क्स ले आऊँगा, तुरंत करता हूँ, और वहाँ पे क्या होता है कि प्रॉब्लम होती है because you commit silly mistake. The thing is, normally a human, even in real life, but in mocks, in exams, it's very important that you have to feel like a stoic. You know what is a stoic? ना सम्मान का मोह, ना अपमान का भय, है ना? कि आप ना प्रेशर लोगे, ना बहुत खुश होना है, ना बहुत दुखी होना है. कुछ गलत हो गया, मान लो किसी एक सवाल पे, यू टुक इट ऑन योर ईगो कि अरे मैं तो इस चीज़ में मास्टर था, टाइम स्पीड डिस्टेंस में, ये 5 मिनट से हो ही नहीं रहा, चलो 1 मिनट और सही, करते करते यू एंड अप वेस्टिंग 7 to 8 minutes. To skip a question, you should not take more than 30 seconds. Of course, after reading the question, 30 seconds से ऊपर अगर आपने ले लिया किसी भी सवाल में, चाहे हमको कितना भी अच्छा आता हो, इसका मतलब you are doing it wrong. Is that understood? Tell me somehow in the comments, by comments or by emojis or whatever. This thing, only 30 seconds should be taken to skip or ignore a question. Otherwise, you will get stuck in the downward moving spiral. Well, and when you come out of it, 10 minutes have already passed in one question and you feel so much pressurized that you tend to commit more silly mistakes, or maybe you will just, screw up your entire exam. So that should be avoided at all. Well, now comes, you don't know the concept. This is a very important part. You don't know the concept. A lot of people think that I don't know the concept. Should I revisit those concepts through the classes or through the practice material? Now, I'll tell you here what should be done. If it's VARC, VARC has really got no concept which can be revised. Okay, so you can't do anything over here. Just that you can just go through the questions again, solutions again. Probably you will get some help. Coming to LRDI. Again, LRDI doesn't have any concepts except some things like games and tournaments might be having some concepts, distribution might be having some concepts, and here the only concept is how to make a perfect table, isn't it? How to make a perfect table. The moment you make a perfect table, your LRDI is solved, and that is something which people lack at. So there's no concept, it's just making the table. The concepts are majorly in quants. So in quants there are 2 kinds of concepts. One is relevant, 2 cat, other is irrelevant, or I can say less relevant. Okay, so we must kind of, I should assign values on the relevant and less relevant concepts. So if you do not know a concept which has got less relevance, you don't have to revisit it and waste more time. If something is very relevant and don't know the concepts, then you should revisit it. So those are only 2 units, that is arithmetic and algebra. So let's say you're not able to solve a problem of distribution in permutations, combinations. तुम बोलोगे मैं क्लास में तो आ गया था, सवाल कितने आएंगे, 1, 2 PNC के. So that concept, if you go and revisit, it will be wasting up your 3 to 4 hours, 3 to 5 hours. which you should not be doing. But if something is from time, speed, and distance, equations, polynomials, functions, graphs, mixtures, allegations, time, speed, and time in work, percentages, then you should revisit them. That is very important. Okay, is that clear, everyone? There's a query. Should I skip critical reasoning questions? Because ये तो मैंने हमेशा बोला है. You should always skip it, right? So now I'll tell you about the round strategy in VARC. Round strategy in VARC. Okay? Let's try to understand how to do it. So VARC, round one, there are two things which you can do. Any of these two. Okay? First is either you solve one RC or you solve 4 VA questions. That is the first thing. And they should be done in how much time? 10 minutes. All right. Now, 1 RC or 4 VA depends on you. Totally depends on you. In 10 minutes. People are laughing that how to do in 10 minutes. I'll tell you how. So, in 10 minutes I'm saying you should be solving it. Now, how to choose a perfect RC or a perfect VA question? Let's go to RC first of all. The perfect RC can be chosen in 2 different ways. One is the genre of the RC. Genre means it's from philosophy, psychology, science and tech, history, anthropology, culture, arts, whatever, society, polity. What you like is what your mind will say. Go and read this. Oh, this is society. You know a lot about society. Just go and read it. Probably you are someone who is into philosophy a lot. You think about philosophical things. So you will say, philosophy aa gaya, maza aa jayega, main yahi karunga. This is genre wise, and this is something, you know what? This should be totally avoided. That's a trap actually. What should be done? The type of questions. We choose our RC based on the type of questions that are being asked. Obviously, if you, let's say you are someone who wanted to become a scientist and somehow you fell into this management and you know science in and out, you are something who, you know, who sucks up science just like Newton. In that case, you will of course go to genre. But I'm sure there'll be no one who is like that and appearing for CAT. Or let's say you wanted to become next Ramanujan, you know, so or you wanted to become next Steve Jobs, so you will see business economics बहुत अच्छा मेरे को आता है, तो वो अलग बात है. उस case में you can choose the genre. But for a normal person who is here just for cracking CAT and going into a management program, for them, do you understand that part? More important is choosing an RC based on type of question they are asking. All right? Shripada, yeah, I'll come to that. Okay, so type of questions, they can be different type of questions. I had made engineers VRC module. I hope you have gone through it if you're a iQuanta student. If not, I'll just tell you, there are fact-based questions. Fact, or we also call it direct data. So whenever questions are fact-based, direct data-based, those are the best kind of questions because of course you'll be doing it correctly. Now, how to identify it's a fact or data-driven question? How do? So when the questions like this, where did author? Let's say author was going somewhere. Where did author go? इतना direct तो नहीं पूछेगा वो. Fact or direct question is, for example, there's a RC which I was solving once, in which father-in-law की बात की गई है. Father-in-law. Okay, and the genre was science and technology, in which there was one person who was father-in-law of the author, and the options talked about father. Got it? This is direct data question. So father and father-in-law are not the same. Of course, in India, people call their father-in-laws as father. Papa ही बोल देते हैं father-in-law को भी, but it's not the same throughout the world, isn't it? So the people, and we are Indian people, so a lot of students actually fell in that trap. They thought father is father-in-law only. Somehow, they did not think it. It's deep-rooted in their psychology. कि ससुर जी भी पापा जी ही होते हैं. Isn't it? So that is how people, a lot of people screwed their marks up. When I told them that it's father-in-law is different, they say, oh yeah, we know it, but somehow we not do it. So that is a possibility. That is how you do it wrong, because you're biased somehow. So if there are fact and direct data questions in some RC, you should do it. Then inference. See, inference is something which will be there. 50% of all the questions are inference-based questions. So, hoga hi hoga. Inference, okay? Then we can have questions which are based on contextual vocabulary. When I say contextual vocabulary, they won't be asking you the meaning of some word or the antonym of some word. They might be giving you a phrase from the passage, and they'll ask which of the following options is closest in meaning or farthest in meaning to this phrase used in the passage. That is contextual vocabulary questions. Then your critical reasoning questions, in which questions are like this: what if? What if? The moment they say what if, इसका मतलब ये है कि critical reasoning question आने वाला है, वो आपको confuse कर देगा. What if this was true? Or they'll say, assuming all the given statements, all the below given statements true, which statement is most likely or least likely to support or weaken the argument given by the author in this passage or in this paragraph. Now, the problem here is, first of all, you need to identify the argument of the author, which is very important and very difficult also, because there will be multiple arguments, isn't it? So you have to analyze which is the most important argument in the passage. For that, you need to understand the main idea. When people say main idea questions, supporting idea questions, they are basically argumentative questions only. So you need to understand the main argument. Once you understand the main argument, identify the main argument, which is rarely people do it correctly. So identify the main argument. After that, you have to think about that argument. Okay, ये बात करने से सही हो रहा है क्या, गलत हो रहा है क्या, सब समझने के बाद then read the options which are not relevant to the questions at all, because you have to assume them to be true. It's a condition, it's a new condition which is enforced, you know, on the given passage. पहले पैसेज पढ़ा आपने, फिर आर्ग्यूमेंट समझा, फिर नया ऑप्शन पढ़ो, चार ऑप्शन, चारों ऑप्शन अलग टाइप के हैं, चारों को उस पैसेज से कनेक्ट करो मेंटली, देन यू अटेम्प्ट इट. So this will take a lot of time, and that is what I think Athar was asking. Critical reasoning questions, if you do it, it's well and good. Majorly, you should avoid it. So if a passage, if an RC has more than one critical reasoning questions, you should avoid that RC. Okay, that is how you choose the RCs. Is that clear, everyone? Coming to VA, verbal ability. 4 VA क्वेश्चन कौन से करने चाहिए बता दूं मैं आपको. पैरा समरी. You know why पैरा समरी? Because for preparing for RC, you have gone through so many articles, so many editorials, so many passages. You tend to identify the main idea, the supporting idea, the main argument, premise of the author, conclusion, all that stuff, that you now have kind of mastered the art of summarizing a passage. So para summary is something which should be done. You will get 1 to 2 questions from there, and other is fill in the blanks. Fill in the blanks, okay? This is something which is kind of easy because all of us know basic English, isn't it? So we can put that entire phrase in one of the blanks. These two should be done first. So whatever your choice is, either go for RC based on what I have told you, or go for 4 VAs. Round 1 is over in 10 minutes, and I'm assuming that you'll be attempting 4 questions, you'll be doing 3 correct. Okay. Now comes the next round. Is that clear, everyone? I hope you're writing it. Then comes round number 2. Round number 2 will be your second RC. Your second RC. Second RC should again be chosen the same way as I told you earlier. The same way. Okay. In the first RC, types of questions and genre both are important. Let's say you have a favorite genre, and in the same genre you get the questions which I told you. That should be the first preference. Second should be for the type of questions. If it is not your favorite genre, then there's no problem. Do you understand that? First passage should be chosen by your genre, favorite genre, and the type of questions. If they combine, that should be the first RC passage. Second should be, if the type of questions are what I told you about, that should be the second RC. 10 minutes again. So by this time, you would have attempted 8 questions, and I'm assuming that you do only 5 correct. You still have 20 minutes. Round 3, 1 more RC. You cannot do all 4 RCs. This is the third RC you'll be doing, which will be now more difficult because the third choice, so it will not take 10 minutes, it will take 12 minutes actually. Maybe 15 minutes also in some cases, 12 to 15. In the end, you will be left with only 5 minutes or 8 minutes in which you can do whatever you want to, do para jumbles, odd one out, or whatever. So this is how, you know, you'll be able to attempt 16 to 18 questions and having like 80% accuracy let's say. So you will be getting somewhere around 12 to 14 questions correct. Okay, and that will be huge. You would have already crossed the 95th percentile in VARC. Try doing that for the next few mocks and you'll realize that this is actually working. Well, now coming to LRDI. What to do in LRDI? LRDI, there is no rounds. 4 sets are there. Rounds क्या ही करोगे उसमें, है ना? जो आता है पहले वही करना चाहिए. So how to choose an LRDI set? I have made a proper video on that. We'll discuss it here as well. How to choose the best LRDI set? See, there's some sets which have very less information, and all human minds will go to this set, isn't it? Do you solve the sets which have got less information? Khushi, I just told you, yes, it can be, but not the mensuration and coordinate geometry part. Okay, less information. All of you do that. This should not be done, because if the information is less, you won't be able to create the proper table. Okay. Second, there are some questions which have conditions. Conditions not in the set. Set conditions तो होंगे ही होंगे. Conditions in every question. You know what happens over there? So let's say there is a set talks about anything, distribution, puzzle, selection, whatever, and in every question there is a new condition. वो बोलेगा कि चलो ऐसा है कि ये चीज़ ये ना हो के ये होती तो क्या होता. Getting it? So, and when you read the questions, when you read the sets, you automatically get to know. So you will take 2 to 3 minutes in reading the sets and understanding whether it has got less information, not to be done. Conditions in every question, not to be done. Not to be done. Third, a set has a lot of information. Looks taxing. तुम बोलोगे इतना कौन पढ़ेगा यार, यही हमें करना चाहिए. Ideally, हमें यही करना चाहिए. ठीक है, इसमें आप 15 मिनट लगा दो. Lot of information will help you in making a proper table. So you should choose sets which have got lot of information. So overall, you have to do 2 sets only. 2 sets कर लोगे, 2 sets पूरे सही कर लोगे तो 98-99% LRDI में आ जाएगा. एक पूरा सही करो और एक को आधा भी कर दो, still you will get 95th percentile. और सिर्फ एक set कर दो, still you will be able to get in late 80s. Now Neil, बिल्कुल सही करते हो. Okay, if you do only one set completely correctly, you would have crossed the sectional percentile. So most important part right now is clearing sectional percentile in all the sections and maximizing your score in any 2 sections. So let's say you feel that in VRC you are not that great. In VRC, just try to cross that 85th percentile, and same with LRDI, same with Quant. In the other 2 sections, you need to maximize your score by the ways that I have told you right away. Well, what needs to be done after this? As I told you, in this free mini mocks are there, then free past papers. This is very important, you know. This is very, very, very important, I must say, because here, if you have not done the previous year questions, I told you do 9 sets. I mean 3 years with 3 slots and 9 sets. Do 4 to 5 sets based on not on the timer, and the remaining do through this. You know, it's a free thing. You can do it, and basically you'll be able to realize what CAD actually asks. So do this in the next 2 to 3 days, and now in the remaining weeks, you should be doing 3 mocks, at least 3 mocks every week. Every week. That means every alternate day you'll be giving a mock. So, and also there's one thing important. Solve the mock. Let's say solve the mock in the morning. Do not analyze it directly. Do not do that. Analyze it after at least 2 to 3 hours. You know why? Because your mind needs to reset and fit in the information. So mind is like a computer, you know. It fills in information, and it's great that after 10 mocks you take a nap of 15 minutes, a power nap of 15-20 minutes, sleep for 15-20 minutes, 30 minutes, you know. And after that, you do that. Either take a gap of 3 hours, study something else, or take a nap of 30 minutes and then analyze the mocks. This is very important. Is that clear, everyone? Tell me in the comments. What did I tell you right now? After attempting the mocks, take 3 hours gap to analyze it, or take 30 minutes ka power nap and then analyze it. That is how it will go inside your mind completely. Is that clear or not? So one day you'll be doing this, and alternate day you'll be doing the next mock. In between, you'll analyze and go through all those things. whether you solved the question correctly, you made the silly mistake, or did not know the concepts. And based on what I have told you in these 3 parameters, just do that for the next day and do the mocks again. Of course, in addition to the marathons and workshops that we are doing in the classes. So that's all from my side. Do it. I'll meet you again. I'll meet you every week like this. And also, I'm planning to have a kind of a Zoom counseling session for students. Like a lot of people call me every day, and I end up, talking to 5-10 people every day. So I'm planning to have a Zoom session. I'll be giving the link in which you can fill your date slot. You can talk to me for 1 hour. There'll be not more than 10 students who can talk to me. All right. So that is all from my side. Happy Diwali, and prepare really hard. Thank you.